Hi everybody. Today we would like to talk about future trends in the life science industry. Let's have a quick look to the actual situation first, because we were all pretty much impacted of the COVID-19 lockdown, and I would like to share some thoughts, what happened in the industry and what is probably going to change in the near future, right? So unlike then any other diseases over the last months, weeks or years even, right? This is a different dimension, right? What COVID brought to the world, and it will heavily impact future generations, but actually even the generation who was impacted most, like the millennials or Generation Z, and this might have the same transformational moment for them, like maybe Second World War was years back for that generation in time. In anticipation of this uncertainty, we explored several sectors in the life science industry who probably were impacted most by COVID-19 and could be impacted in the near future by the COVID-19 disease here as well, and what kind of challenges they have in front of them and how we can address them and how we can help them to overcome that. Never before have we felt more isolated in the lockdown. Simultaneously, we were more connected than ever, but I don't know what you think about. Even when I was locked down at home with my family, I somehow felt isolated, right? In a way, like not talking to friends like I did before, or talking to customers in my case, So it changed my daily life, although I somehow felt connected, through like these Zooms and Teams solutions of the world. While we are solving for the immediate crisis on the one hand, we must not forget that the crisis moments also present opportunity for the industries. Every crisis, if it was a financial crisis back in 2008, there were many opportunities coming afterwards. What we just have to hunt for after these opportunities correctly and bring them to market. So let's have a specific view on the life science industry, like I promised at the beginning. From supply chain disruptions causing drug shortages to how people are interacting with healthcare professionals in the future, the major space, major opportunity space, how we will approach doctors in the future, but we will cover that at a later stage. Coming to the next thing, although the urgency of the present moment, we ultimately pass the current COVID-19 crisis. And the COVID-19 crisis will be a major catalyst for a long-term industry change. That's obvious. And there's so much change already happening, which I will cover in a second as well. Unlike many industry, life science arguably represents the essential industry that will keep society running during and after this pandemic. So they have the major challenges in front of them because they have to serve society the most. Here are some interesting numbers. This is a McKinsey study which got recently published. And actually there's no secret that pharma companies have been slow to take advantage and benefit of this digital technologies. So what McKinsey did here, they came up with a digital quotient score of different industries. And like you can see on the left, the pharma industry, the life science industry is the less mature one, obviously. So there's a lot of space for improvement. Here are some impressive numbers. Processes are still inefficient in the life science industry, everybody knows, but just look at the numbers here, right? $250 billion have been spent in communication with internal and external providers because of antiquated technology. This is just like hilarious in a digital age where we are in. 3 out of 10 tests are reordered because the results cannot be found. Imagine that, right? So, because there's so much done just like on a manual basis, they type results in Excel, and this is just simply a disaster. We have to overcome that as soon as possible. 30% of patient charts cannot be found on 30% of visits because they are not input in an electronic and secure database. So even if they're captured right, they are not put into somewhere in an archive or in a safe, and people can't find it afterwards. And we have some other great examples from the industry, right? Look at Amazon. Like when Amazon released the pill pack, which improves you to help to manage your own personal medication, the box simply tells you when you have to take the pill at what time. Google's Project Baseline, they work with a university to collect health data and come up with great solutions to prevent illness at the end of the day. And even the giant Microsoft, through their Azure platform, they help a lot through their AI applications to help to increase R&D for life science companies and use a lot of data and data analytics to come to a better experience. Technology itself, it's not the answer, obviously, and that's what we always say as Fahrenheit Capgemini, but knowing how to introduce true value, it's all about value, not about technology. If we know what patients want, if we know what the industry requires, what the world requires, right, then you can pick the right technology afterwards. So we put it on 4 horizons where we believe we can help our customers. So horizon is really just where are the quick fixes, where are the low-hanging fruits on horizon 1, right? So what can we do in a month's time frame with a quick sprint, develop a new product, develop a new service, help some sales agents to digitize their business, up to horizon 3, where we will see what should be next to be resilient for the next pandemic, which might be already on the horizon. So we split it into 4 micro segments. Today, because of the time, we will just cover 2 of them, right? So it's virtual clinical trials, and it's from stigma to strength, how we have to look after mental health in the future. Virtual clinical trials, everybody have heard about it, but this has been a broken process for a long time. It's a very manual process if you are into clinical trials, and even with COVID-19, will encourage companies to rethink the building blocks of clinical trials, and that's where we want to help as well. And just look at the numbers here again, right? 440 studies in the US that have been suspended because of the outbreak of COVID-19, because out of the sudden, people couldn't run their clinical trials anymore face to face, and the whole industry just were totally lost how to scope this in the future. Whereas 79% of doctors who prefer getting information online instead of a sales rep. So there will be a fundamental change how we deal with doctors in the future as well from the pharma perspective. So they have to definitely use more digital tools to sell their products and services. And 40% of patients, they are ready to share their data as well. It's not just because we're always talking about data protection and general data protection rules, but the majority, if you ask the people, the patients, if they are willing to share their data, they are willing to share the data if they receive value for that. So here are some great examples of market movers we identified recently. There's RoseCare, for example. So it's a patient-driven telehealth company where you can get in touch first time if you feel sick to get some help and treatment afterwards. Teledocs is another great example, another great platform, multinational telemedicine platform. My favorite actually is Eligos, thoughtful trial locations. So they offering a service, a training for physicians to conduct clinical trials virtually, right? And this is outstanding, knowing what just happened in COVID-19 times. But how do we bring this opportunity to life? It's easy maybe to identify and do a bit of back mirror looking what happened with COVID-19. So we always ask the question, how might we bring trials to patients, for example, just as one example, as opposed to make patients travel to trials. So we could think about pop-up trial stations. So we could send a trial station to a patient and run the whole session virtually. This is just one example, And we could obviously leverage more data to enable patients to support themselves and one another rather than depend on trial stuff, So there needs to be a tremendous shift from just doing this physical trial test to a virtual world. Let's switch to the next micro segment. And there are so many interesting ones, but again, we can just focus on 2 today, from stigma to strengths. And what does it mean? I will explain in a minute. This is arguably the world's biggest social and psychological experiment of all times. And just look at that number, right? 2.6 billion people were affected by the lockdown caused by COVID-19. And 350 million people were affected by depressions. So, and this is a tremendous number. So there are 350 million people out there who require some medical treatment, and we have to solve it. While we are trying to control the spread of the disease, we have to deal with the burnouts and stress-related symptoms which might occur afterwards. And here again, some interesting numbers. Building response for psychological help is as important as setting up tents to treat those infected. It was big in the news. We saw all these terrible pictures on TV, what happened in New York. The health system was totally overwhelmed. And just look at these numbers. 28% of quarantine parents who warranted a diagnosis of trauma-related mental health disorder in China. Massive. 10% of hospital staff with high depressive symptoms. So there are a lot of people out there who help other people and who are now affected by a mental illness. So we don't just have to find a quick fix. Yes, we have to on Horizon 1, what I explained at the beginning. But we have to think bigger, right? How maybe even reinterpreting health as it relates to this new normal. There is a new normal and we have to accept that new normal, obviously. 42% report an overall decline in mental health. So whoever was affected by the lockdown, they feel somehow affected, they feel worse than they felt before. And maybe even myself or you, right? So, because the world has changed and there's obviously a next normal. From stigma to strengths, opportunity area 2. What does it mean? The holistic approach is to bring body and mind in balance. That's actually not new, right? But we probably have to come up with a more complex solution to address mental health in the future. We need a winning strategy. It's not less about reacting and coping with an issue and more about proactively build mindfulness and emotional stability for the people out there. And another few great numbers. So 60% of adults with a mental illness don't receive any mental health services today. And this is just unacceptable, I would say. 25% of adults agree that mentally ill people are stigmatized. Not acceptable. And 56% of people who say they'd be uncomfortable even to talk to friends and family. So if you are mentally ill, people feel really shy even to talk to their friends and family. And we have to create solutions and services to overcome that. Another few great examples from stigma to strength. Nooms, it's a fantastic app to change your behavior to a certain extent to become to a more healthier life at the end. So you will get a lot of guidance on a daily basis, very specific for you as a person. We have Talkspace, tech-enabled therapy, which is another great example, how you can run a psychotherapy over a smartphone or tablet, for example. And this is really my favorite at the moment, Cornerstone. They offer a solution which is based on VR technology. So what do? They offer you a VR glasses, pretty much. And they will uncover mental disease for children, running them through different VR simulations and recognize patterns, which might be an indication for a future mental illness, for example. So great examples in the industry out there. Again, how do we bring the opportunity to life? And so the same question, how might we approach mental wellness more proactively to improve quality of life overall? A big question. Shared accountability programs, proactive and executable mechanisms that demystify mental health, making something that everyone wants to incorporate in their lives. So maybe even our employers, from the corporate perspective, how can we create curated baskets, to increase wellness of our employees is another major space. We are actually talking to some customers and there's so much more to come. So let's take it on. So we as Fahrenheit and Capgemini help our customers to create better solutions, better services. The majority of our programs are data-driven today. Make things better, make better things. Thank you so much.